Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, out to West Lawrence High School. We're here with head coach Kagan McLean, and Coach, it's so good to be out today. Here we are in the weight room again, and
that's right.
We don't want people to think they went to sleep and woke up and it's football season again,
That's
but
right.
we're always working for it, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Season never stops for
That's
you,
right.
does it, Coach?
Never does, year round.
Yeah, and it's impressive to young people, again, that come through here and get stronger because of the weightlifting program you have. Now, many people may have heard about or may have seen that West Lawrence won another region championship in weightlifting just this past weekend. That's quite an accomplishment, Coach.
Yeah, well, actually, they don't do regions in weightlifting anymore. They just have a state championship.
Okay.
So we went and competed at Jefferson County High School, where they hosted the single through quad A state championships. And they had the gym split up. We did a triple and quad A in one gym, and they did single and double in the other. And you know, you end up competing just against the schools in your classification, even though several classifications are at the meet together. So it's the Georgia Athletic Coaches Association that puts it on every year. And we were fortunate enough to finish first and win the state championship in quad A this past year in weightlifting, our fourth state championship in quad A in weightlifting. We've competed in 5 since I've been here. My second year here was the first year we took a team out, and we finished second that year. And then since then, every year we've competed, we've finished first. So the kids have worked hard, and fortunate to get to work with them.
Now, Coach, you say you've been here 7 years, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
and you got 4 championships out of
Right.
that. You competed 5 times. You
Right.
chose to compete
Yes, sir.
5 times out of the 7 years, and you won 4 of them. So
Right.
that's real impressive. Now, well, what do you contribute that to? Now, you came in immediately. Your responsibility went to weightlifting,
Right.
did it not?
Yes, sir. Yeah, when I came in, Stacy Nobles brought me in to be the strength coordinator and the defense coordinator here. And one of the things I told him when we were talking, because I credit him a lot with, he has the same mentality I have, same mindset.
Yeah.
I said, if we're going to do this, we need to make sure that weightlifting isn't optional, it's mandatory. If you're going to play football for West Lawrence High School, you will be in weightlifting. If you come up and you say that you want to play football for us, and you're not in weightlifting, we make you get in the weight room first and prove that you're willing to get in there and pay a little bit of the price before we let you come out and put the pads on and represent the blue and white. And he was in complete agreement with that. And the first year or so, it was a little struggle getting those kids to buy into the fact that you're going to lift or you're not going to play. They didn't understand that. And so we had to fight that a little that first year. But by the second year, we really had it rolling. And there's good kids here. They work hard. Once that first year, you'd have some kids wanting to sit out and I can't lift today, I don't feel good, all that stuff. And we tell them, look, if you're not going to lift, go clean your locker out. We'll find somebody else to fill it because you're not playing football for us.
Yeah.
And once they learned that we were serious about that, they bought into the program, and they've done a great job. And now they love it. Now we never have kids miss a workout unless they're not at school. I don't let kids sit in the hall. If you're at school, you're going to lift, unless you've got some kind of doctor's note or, something's injured or something like that. And then we'll have supplemental things for you to do that involve making you a better athlete. But they come in expecting to lift, expecting to win. And they get out in here and they put the work in, so I give them the credit for it. And we just go and show off what we've done.
Yeah. All right, so Coach, let's just break it down just a little bit more.
Sure.
So when kids come in, a younger kid comes in, a freshman.
Right.
What do? You pair them up in some particular way? What's your philosophy on that?
We try and group those guys in the same period, those freshmen all together, so we can kind of teach them early on. Now those freshmen we get that summer before. We start in the summer with summer workouts. So we spend most of the summer with those freshmen teaching them the lifts, making sure their form is good, making sure that they're going to be safe in the weight room. Now, I do have to give a little bit of credit to our middle school because we started middle school weightlifting a couple years ago, and I put Vic Thigpen in there last year, and he's done a great job getting those guys coached up. So when they come to me at the high school, they already know the form, they've already been in the weight room, and they've got a little experience. So I just spend that summer cleaning them up, getting them stronger, and then by the time we get into the fall, they're ready to lift with the rest of us. Their totals obviously aren't the same, but when they come in here, we do group them by strength. We put the 3 or 4 strongest guys at rack 1, and we work our way down to rack 10 so that, you're not overwhelmed in here with, hey, I'm in here with a guy benching 300 pounds and I bench 155. That wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
So we group them by ability level, and throughout, it's fun to watch throughout their career, a kid that'll start on rack 8 or 9, and by his senior year, he's on rack 1 and 2 because he's worked his way up and he's paid the price and done what needs to be done.
Yeah, and he feels good about that accomplishment.
Yeah,
Coach.
if a kid believes he's good, if a kid believes he's strong, if a kid believes he's fast, he'll play that way. And so we want him getting that confidence early on. I think confidence, mental toughness, all that is really built in the weight room. I think if you wait till you get to the practice field to have to build those things, it's too late.
Yeah, and Coach, you don't just come in here like you see a lot of schools in overtime. You know, we can look back and we say everybody came in there and they just kind of did the lifts and whatever.
Right, yeah.
You're big on percentages.
Oh yeah, we're going to do everything on the whistle, on percentages, on command, from bell to bell. We're not going to come in here and I'm not going to put a workout on the board and say, hey, you guys get after it and turn some music on. That's not, because we know how kids are. We know how we are.
Yeah.
As adults, we make those New Year's resolutions about I'm going to go to the gym and get
Wait a
strong,
minute.
and that lasts a couple of weeks, and then when you start feeling bad, we don't want to do it anymore. But these kids come in, they know the routine. They get in here, we stretch them out. They go to their racks, and everything's on the whistle. First man up, first rep, and I'm hitting the whistle. Second rep, hitting the whistle.
Yeah.
So I see them do every rep. They know exactly what weight to put on the bar because we're going to test them and get their maxes. They've got percentage charts at every rack. So I'm going to say, hey, you got 64% for 8 reps. So they know that chart tells them exactly what weight to put on. They throw it on, and they better be ready to lift by the time I hit that whistle or somebody's doing some up downs. Yeah. And so they learn the routine, and it's fast paced and it's energetic, and they like that, because now it's like competing, and everybody likes to compete.
Right.
So we've got a good system going. I certainly didn't invent it. I've just kind of modified it to what works here with these kids, and they do a great job with it, and it's been fun. It's been fun.
Coach, what do you tell that kid when they come through and they say, Coach, I just don't feel good?
Yeah, I said, well, you know what? Feelings don't matter. If I woke up and said, I don't feel good and I don't want to come to work, then eventually I'm going to get fired. So, we tell them all the time, look, feelings are legitimate because you have them, but you don't have to act on them. There's lots of times I do things I don't feel like doing because I'm a man. That's what I'm supposed to do. And that's what we teach those kids. Just because you don't feel like working doesn't mean you don't work. You push through it, because what happens in the fourth quarter when you don't feel like making that tackle? I don't feel like running that ball because I'm tired. I've been beat up all game. Your teammates are dependent on you. And when you get out in the real world and you got a family and you got a wife and kids, they're dependent on you to hold down a job and to go to work whether you feel like it or not. And so those are the kind of things that I think you can instill in this weight room that can make these guys not just better athletes, but better young men, hopefully better fathers and husbands down the road.
Yeah, and you preach that, what it is to be a man, don't you?
We try to, because, look, if you're just doing this to win football games, what value does that have in eternity? You know what I mean? There's lots of people who win football games, but if you're teaching kids to be good young men and teaching them how to make it in this world and teaching them about life, that's what really, really matters. Because ultimately, I can't tell you how many games West Lawrence won in 1998 or 2005 or 2009. I don't know. Yeah. Most people don't know that. But if you meet a young man on the street who's been in a program and he learned how to be a man, and he's taking those lessons and being a better citizen in the world, he's going to remember that the rest of his life. And you're going to see the effects of that the rest of your life. Yeah. So I believe in that. And, of course, we want to win football games. And I know if I don't win enough, I'll get fired. And I accept that. I accept that completely.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if I can help them be better men, be tougher, understand what it means to make it in this world, to be personally responsible and accountable, then I can lay my head down at night and sleep well no matter how many games we won.
Now, Coach, you got a winning thing going. As a matter of fact, you got a senior class coming through, and you were able to tell them and congratulate them at the sports banquet recently, the football banquet recently, that they would have won in this class to come through at West Lawrence, and the history of West Lawrence.
Yeah, the seniors who just graduating, who are graduating this year, 2018, are the winningest football class that West Lawrence has ever had. They've won the most games. Over their 4-year span, they've had the most playoff appearances, the most playoff wins, the highest winning percentage. They've really set the bar for this program, and I'm proud of them. Again, you can have the greatest program in the world, but if you can't get kids to buy in and do it, what's the point? But these kids have bought in, so I give them credit for the hard work they've put in, and hopefully we can keep it rolling.
Yeah, you will, because you're passionate about it, and it translates to those kids. When you're genuine with a young person, when a young man, they see it.
Absolutely.
And if you're ingenuine,
absolutely,
you're ungenuine, it shows. Yeah. And you know that, Coach. But hey, we're going to take a short break and come back and talk about raising the bar. We're going to talk about the champions from this past week, those who excel, those who perform well here at West Lawrence Raider weightlifting. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
0% financing, and we'll just add it to your bill. Start saving today. It only makes sense. The City of Dublin Natural Gas.
Experience the perfect blend of style and comfort at Hunters Point Luxury Apartment Units. These 3-bedroom, 2-bath duplexes are beautifully designed with a look of hardwood flooring, modern fixtures, and plenty of natural light. The kitchen is outfitted with stainless steel appliances, beautiful countertops, and cabinetry. And these brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bath duplexes are complete with garage. These duplexes are move-in ready. Hunters Point Luxury Apartment Units. Call Kay Grace and Company now at 353-1123 and visit Hunters Point Luxury Apartment Units, conveniently located on Claxton Dairy beside Springdale Park. All right, we welcome you back once again here with head coach Kagan McClain, and we're talking about weightlifting. We're in a weight room, and we almost want to lift right now, but hey, we want to take this time and recognize that these young men who work so hard.
Right.
And you got several, don't you?
Yeah, we had 5 young men who finished as state champions this past weekend. Abram Morrow, a senior, was state champion in the 246 unlimited class. Dorian Gorham was also a state champion in the 226 to 245 class. Keyshawn Wiggins was a state champion in the 160 to 170 weight class. Lorenzo Turner, a freshman, was a state champion in the 150 class, and he's a young kid that's just come in and just shot up and got after it in here. And of course, Spencer Dacus, who was also a state champion wrestler as a 10th grader this year, is also as a 10th grader is a state champion power lifter in his weight class of 191 to 205.
Yeah, and Coach, you get those young kids in, and the kids you naming off, they are, it's so those kids who you look at and they don't even know how strong they are.
No, a lot of them just getting here and they don't realize it. And that's why I like to take them and compete, because they're competing against each other every day and here and against themselves. But it's nice to take them to other schools and they say, wow, you know, we can hang with these big schools. We can compete with these guys. I remember it was a huge eye-opener for us back in 2013 or 2014, I can't remember, 2013, when we took them up. And back then they had the quad A through 7A at one meet, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we won quad A that year, but we also won overall meet champions, meaning we had more kids placing more points than every school in quad A, 5A, 6A, and 7A. Yep. And when our kids saw that, they were like, man, we can hang with anybody, you know, and whether or not we actually can on the football field, but the fact they believe they can in the weight room goes a long way to helping us compete on the football field.
Well, you know, successful programs through times, those back in the early 80s, whatever, when weightlifting really started taking off, and the coaches around who would bring in a weightlifting program, and we're going to do this religiously. This is what we're going to do. And then it started paying off, and then other schools started saying, well, wait a minute. Coaches started saying, we got to hit the weight room. But, you know, now everyone's lifting.
Right, absolutely.
And so we know that the stronger the athlete, not only the more powerful he is on the field, but the less prone to injury he is, and so many other things that develops on you. That discipline, that endurance. Coach, you know, just for a moment, you look at the combine that we just, you know, saw on national TV, and they picked that bench press to do that just endurance again with 225. And how many times can you do that? How many times do you think you can do two? We better not go.
I don't want to probably embarrass myself. I try to do that right now.
But you know, Coach, that's incredible that young men are doing that. And you have young men here who will take 225 off the rack, you know, and do it for 8, 10, and 12 reps. That's strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that endurance, because you've got to make that motion so much in football.
Right, and you made a good point. One of the main reasons we make weightlifting mandatory in football is not just because we want to compete and it's going to help us be more successful, but there's a safety aspect in it. The bigger you are, the stronger you are, the stronger those muscles are that are around those ligaments and those tendons and those joints, the less prone you're going to be to injury. You know, we don't want kids out there getting hurt. I mean, it's not worth it, you know. And so we tell them, look, if you want to lift, it's not just because we're trying to make you tougher or trying to teach you those life lessons. That's a big part of it. But we want you to be safe out there. And football's a contact sport. And so you need to be physically prepared to get out there before I'm going to put the pads on you and let you do it. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, we get those kids, and we've had kids here who could do 225, 20-plus reps, you know, because they just get after it, you know. And I'm proud of those guys, and I'm proud of what they do. But they've got to, you know, there's some character. There's an old saying around weightlifters that character is found at the bottom of the squat. Because when you got 400-plus pounds on your back and you're down in that hole and you got a choice, get out of that hole or give up, you know, you learn a lot about a kid's character, because those kids that fight are going to push out of that hole. And some of those kids are going to get down there, they're going to feel that heavy weight on their back, and they're going to quit. And that's life. You know, some people, unfortunately, are going to go out in life, and when life gets hard, and it will, we know that, when life gets heavy on them, they're going to quit. And I'm hoping these kids are going to learn that when life gets tough, just like at the bottom of that squat, they can push themselves out of that hole and be successful.
Yeah, push through it.
That's
Excellent life lessons, Coach. And that's, again, when people learn more about you and successful coaches in our area, they learn that it's that character from within that pushes them to develop these young men. It's not just to go out and win a ball game.
No.
So what, like you say. All right, but Coach, there are other people now who lifted this past weekend, younger kids, juniors,
Right.
maybe some special team, whoever you took that looked good as well, not just the 5.
Right, absolutely.
Any other ones you want to point out?
Yeah, we had 24 of we took 28 up to the meet, and 24 of our 28 placed top 6 or better. And that's how they do it at the meets. Top 6 get a medal, and top 6 get you points. First place gets you 10, second 8, third 6, and so on down to 1. But we had 24 of our 28 placed in the top 6. We had several guys who finished second, who were state runner-ups. And we don't just take football players to these meets. It's out of the whole school, everyone that's in the weightlifting. If you're the top 3 in your weight class, I take you to compete, whether you play football or not. A good example, we had a young kid who's been the first year in the weight room with me, a kid named Ivy Phillips, who's in that 140 and under class, plays baseball for us, not a football kid. Finished state runner-up this week, just getting out there and competing. I love that. I had a couple kids who used to play football, but after a couple years decided football's not for me, but they still stayed in weightlifting because they loved it. They got strong, and they were able to place at the meet. So it's not just a football thing. It's I want to take anyone who's in this weight room. I'm going to coach them, and I tell them when they come in, look, this is football weightlifting technically, but I'm going to coach you whether you're a football player or not, like you're one of ours. I'm going to coach you just as hard as one of ours, and hopefully you're going to get strong. And even if you don't play any sports, you can learn some things about being in the weight room with us. And so we'll take all those kids and let them compete. And there were some football players who were 4th in their weight class and got bumped by a kid who wasn't a football player. And you know who I took? A kid that's not a football player because he was top 3. So it's not, you don't get preferential treatment because you play football. The only difference is if you're a football player, you have to be in here. Everyone else, it's voluntary. It's voluntary.
And you look at that, Brian Brown would tell you on Ivy, on him, that's developing him. He's going to hit the ball harder.
Absolutely.
He's going to play better. Again, injury won't be prone. So it's an excellent discipline to learn in life. Weightlifting, and it's something that, again, if you do it the right way, if you learn the difference, between pain and injury, and you lift accordingly, then you can lift a long time in life. There are many people around who old timers still lifting.
Oh, yeah,
so
it's great for you. It really is.
So you go up there, Coach, again, and so we want to let everybody in on what the lifts are. Of course, you got a bench press, and most people are familiar with that.
Yeah, they used to at the meets, they did bench, squat, and power clean. The last few years, they've taken out the squat because it's so subjective about getting low enough. Really, when you go to these big powerlifting meets with USA powerlifting and some of the Olympic stuff, they're going to have 3 judges for every rack just so you get 3 views on a squat and make sure you're low enough. So it's so subjective. They pulled the squat out. Now it's just bench and power clean, which is fine. I mean, I miss the squat because I love the squat. But you go up and they'll usually divide the meet up, and you'll have half your guys on one rack doing bench press while the other half are out doing power clean, and then they'll take a little break and flip it. But it's a pretty standard deal. You got certain rules you got to follow with each lift. On the bench press, you got to keep your back, your head, your feet, your butt on the bench. You can't throw your butt up in the air and muscle that thing up. You got to have good form for safety reasons. On the power clean, you got to get it in the rack, and you got to stand up with it, and you got to hold it there. You can't roll it up your chest or anything like that. And one of the things I'm impressed with is when I first got here, we started instilling our guys that when you power clean, you're going to do it Olympic style, meaning you're going to get a full squat involved in it, and your butt's going to be down by the floor before you stand up with the weight. A lot of schools will go up and let their kids just clean and stand up, and that's fine. There's nothing really wrong with that, but you're not getting that full range of motion in there, and you're not really developing all the muscles you can develop with the power clean by doing it the right way. And I was excited to go out there and see that. I think us and one other school, 2 others really, Pierce County and a Cairo, really made their kids try to get under it like we do, because there's a lot of schools that are up there just standing up with the weight and
just flipping it up.
Yeah, just flipping, just muscling it up and not really working that form. And I think a lot of it's because those coaches are maybe new and they're trying to teach those kids and they're taking them there so they can compete. Nothing against those coaches, but I really like that every one of our kids across the board, they know how to do it the right way. And that's not because I'm a great coach, it's because I've been here with them for all these years and they've learned. Because when I first got here, we were doing it the wrong way. Not because the guys before me didn't teach it, but maybe they had a different style. you know, and they've really bought into my style and done a good job. And they do things the right way, and it's impressive. I like when other coaches say, hey, man, I like the way your kids are lifting. That makes me feel good.
Sure.
It validates that all the hard work we're putting in, you know, hasn't been wasted.
And you know, that full range of motion, that getting down in the hole and coming out, it just builds so much of your body.
Absolutely.
And that's what's going to go on the football field. But like you say, for other athletes, you're going to develop them as well.
Right.
Coach, we're going to take another short break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up on football. If that's
Absolutely.
all right.
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Parker.
Hey there.
Paramedic, new truck owner, expert negotiator.
She's a beauty, huh? I've been holding out for the perfect deal.
Like all smart shoppers, Parker wanted the lowest interest rate available, which is why he chose Robbins Financial Credit Union.
Affordable monthly payments and great service make the process easy. I applied right online.
With convenient branch locations and all kinds of online tools and services, Robbins really does make it easy.
The way it should be.
Robbins Financial Credit Union. Better banking for everyone.
I'm Marcus Clements with Clements & King Insurance. We now sell final expense life insurance for seniors. Life insurance available through age 85. Guaranteed acceptance. Call Clements & King Insurance for all your health and life insurance needs.
All right, we welcome you back, ladies and gentlemen. And again, we all just look forward to football. You know, when you see all these college players, you know, at the combine, and you're thinking how your pro team's going to shape up. We got to look at how the home team's going to do this year. We got to think about West Lawrence. And again, when I talk to people out and your football players play in other sports, they seem to be leaders in those sports, Coach.
Right.
That's a real credit now. That's
Yeah,
development of a kid.
Well, you hope they are, because you hope those football guys who are in weightlifting 4 years, who are in here having me yell at them. That's why my voice always sounds like this, because I'm constantly
coach.
yelling at these kids in the weight rooms. I'm gonna run all the weight rooms. I'm not gonna sit in my office and let my assistant coaches run that. Not that they couldn't do it, but I just, I want to be in there, so I'm going to run those. But yeah, you want those guys to go out that have been in here and that have learned those lessons, have gotten strong to be leaders in other sports, because it's not, we share athletes here, and that's a good thing, and we need to. I want those football players playing other sports. Anybody that says in high school you need to focus on one sport, they don't know what they're talking about. Any expert will tell you that's ridiculous. Any scout will tell you that's ridiculous. That's not what you want to do. You want to do a multiple range of activities to develop multiple disciplines in athleticism and not just be one-dimensional. And it's been shown that by playing other sports, you're a lot less likely to be injured, and you're a lot more likely to be recruited or drafted if you play other sports, because you've developed as an all-around athlete, not just a singular, set of skills there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it when those kids go out there and they do well in other sports and they're leaders in other sports. Absolutely.
So, Coach, in this kind of off season, you have some that's all it truly is.
Right.
They're going to play football, and they may not have a spring sport.
Right.
They're doing. They may not be in track or tennis or baseball or anything. So they're going, just going what? Lift during this time?
Yeah,
Do
we
you have
got
things going after school for them.
Oh yeah, we have a lot going on, and there's certain rules you have to follow with the GHSA about how you can work with those guys. First of all, they're all lifting and conditioning in the off season. No doubt, we're year-round weightlifting here. We live 12 months out of the year. There's not a single month we take off. They're lifting all summer. They're lifting over Christmas break. A lot of times, we will break it up and say, all right, you've been busting it all fall. You're going to have the second week of break off. We'll give them time off so they can, heal up and let their bodies recover. But we're going to be doing something year-round. But yeah, for our guys that don't play second sports, that aren't into basketball or track, now first of all, we encourage them to. I tell all my skill guys, receivers, running backs, DBs, linebackers, you need to be out there at track. Even if you never get to compete in a meet, you need to be out there every day at practice running, getting faster. Coach Carlos Jones does a great job with our track program of doing speed training out there with those guys, so they're getting faster. We did our 40 times last week and had some really good numbers. I'm excited about that. But yeah, we encourage them. For those that don't play other sports, and even those guys that do, we do have morning sessions where we're allowed to work with 4 kids at a time. So we'll bring them in small groups of 4, and we'll have 4 quarterbacks working one day, while I might bring in 4 DBs another day, work with them. Our linemen might get in groups of 4 and work some off-season drills, but we don't want to overburden them. We don't want to burn them out. So they're coming in maybe one day a week, in the off-season. We usually start that in February, and we'll roll that up to spring practice, which is coming up in May.
Well, okay, so in May, we're going to have a spring practice. We'll have a spring game this year.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, we're going to start. Spring practice will be May The first week in May, we'll do our Rising Nines, where we'll go down with those 8th graders who are going to be 9th graders, and we'll work with them for a week with no pads, where we're just installing offense, defense, getting to know them, letting them get to know us at the high school a little bit, so they're not so overwhelmed when they come over, because you lose a lot of guys from 8th to 9th grade if you don't get down there and get them hooked. And so we want to get down there and meet those guys and develop those relationships with them.
Good.
We'll do that first week, and then the second and third week in May will be varsity spring practice. We'll be in the pads and we'll get after it. Culminating in May 18th over at the Old West Lawrence, we'll play Swainsboro this year in our spring game.
Good.
7 o'clock
Good.
at the Owl.
And the reason it's at the Old West because of graduation.
Yeah, graduation here, we don't want to tear the
wanna
field up,
up.
right. We'll practice out here, but we'll stay off the game field,
Yeah.
and we'll play the game at the Old West Lawrence this year.
And it's going to be Swainsboro.
Absolutely. And, sometimes these spring games, they're fun, but they're tough because, we got a lot of baseball players playing football, and if they're deep in the playoffs, we won't have them for spring practice. So it's a good chance to build depth, to get a lot of young people involved.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to look at that spring game and try and judge the next year, and people that don't understand football don't realize nobody's at full strength in the spring game.
Yeah.
Especially if you got a lot of kids playing baseball or running in the state meet and track, you're going to miss some of those guys for that spring. We try and do it as late as possible so we can get those guys back. And, I'd love to have all those baseball players with me, but I want the baseball team to be successful. Hope they win a state championship, and I'll miss them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because they're doing something great for this school and for themselves.
And you're getting a lot of different looks in the
lot of
spring game.
depth,
You're just
right.
trying different stuff and
Yeah.
looking at different kids, and you hope somebody's going to show a little something.
Absolutely. It's a chance to get those guys that maybe you weren't so sure about the year before, some serious reps against another team, and they could shock you. They could surprise you and say, wow, maybe this kid is going to be able to really help us in a way we weren't anticipating because of how he showed in the spring game. And that, to me, that's what spring practice is all about. It's about looking at what you're going to have coming into the fall, getting reps for those kids that may not normally get as many reps, and really just get the ball rolling as we head into summer workouts.
Yeah. Coach, we appreciate all you're doing. We're
Yes,
looking
sir.
forward to that spring game.
Absolutely.
Want people to turn out for that before we know it'll be football season again.
That's
but
right.
until then, Coach, just stay strong.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.